The Tesseract has played an important role in every stage of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Before we track its journey through the MCU, warning, there are spoilers ahead for recent Marvel films. So if you don't want to be spoiled and you're not caught up on all the MCU movies, you might want to be. Proceed with caution. Captain Marvel is a prequel set years before most of the other MCU movies, but it ties in with the rest of the series in many ways. Case in point, the Tesseract, which actually plays a major role in Captain Marvel. The Tesseract went on quite a journey in the MCU to get from the original Captain America movie all the way to Thanos' gauntlet in Avengers Infinity War. Along the way, it turns out, it played a big role in the events of the 1990s, including Air Force pilot Carol Danvers gaining her powers and becoming Captain Marvel. So how did it get from Red Skull's grip to Thanos' glove? Let's break it down.
The universe lies within your grasp.
The earliest known location of the Tesseract in the MCU is in Asgard. Specifically, Red Skull remarks in Captain America the First Avenger that the Tesseract was once the jewel of Odin's treasure room. Odin, of course, being Thor and Loki's father. It's unclear how the Tesseract wound up in Asgard to begin with, or how it traveled from Asgard to Earth. No doubt there are some crazy stories there, but we don't currently know them. In the first Captain America movie, the Tesseract provided a MacGuffin for Red Skull and Steve Rogers to fight over. At the time, it was far from clear that it was an Infinity Stone in cube form. The movie ended with Cap crashing his plane into the Arctic Ocean with the Tesseract/Space Stone on board. Although we didn't know it at the time, the Tesseract actually contained the Space Stone, one of the Infinity Stones that Thanos would eventually hunt down. When Red Skull got his hands on it, the stone zapped him into space. We learned years later in Avengers Infinity War that it set him the task of guarding the Soul Stone on a planet called Vormir. But that's besides the point. The Tesseract made its way to S.H.I.E.L.D. when Tony Stark's father, Howard Stark, helped discover the location of the plane Steve went down in. It remained with the organization through the 1990s when we catch up with it in Captain Marvel and beyond. Project Pegasus plays a big role in Captain Marvel, but before this movie it had only been mentioned or glimpsed in passing. Such as in the Avengers movie prequel comics, The Avengers Prelude, Fury's Big Week, where Project Pegasus is described as S.H.I.E.L.D's initiative to analyze and study the Tesseract. There were also Easter eggs glimpsed in previous MCU movies like Iron Man 2, and the facility played a big role in the first Avengers movie, though it wasn't clear at that point how important Project Pegasus really was. It ultimately got the Kree's attention as well. S.H.I.E.L.D. had possession of the Tesseract from the time of its discovery in Cap's sunken plane through the events of the first Avengers movie. In the middle, during the 1990s, the latest MCU movie has revealed that the Tesseract/Space Stone was being studied by a Kree scientist named Mar-Vell, who was using it to develop a light-speed space travel engine. As we saw in Captain Marvel, the Space Stone is actually the ultimate source of Carol Danvers' powers. When she blew up Mar-Vell's engine, Carol became imbued with the Tesseract's power. No doubt that's going to come in handy when it's time for Captain Marvel to hopefully help undo Thanos' snap in Avengers Endgame. The Tesseract got bandied about quite a bit throughout Captain Marvel, including in a vintage Happy Days lunchbox. Eventually, Goose the Flerken/adorable cat swallowed it, as Flerkens have pocket dimensions in their stomachs, and then it hacked it up again right on Nick Fury's desk during Captain Marvel's end credits scene. After the events of Captain Marvel, the Tesseract remained in S.H.I.E.L.D's care. They continued to study it, eventually with the help of Dr. Eric Selvig, until the first Avengers movie, when the entire Project Pegasus facility was destroyed following Loki's arrival on Earth. You may or may not remember, it feels like a long time ago at this point, but Loki wanted to claim the Tesseract for himself so he could use it to open a portal and make way for the invasion of Earth. At the end of the first Avengers movie, Thor transported Loki and the Tesseract back to Asgard. The next time we saw the Space Stone was in Thor Ragnarok. It had apparently been placed back in Odin's vault in Asgard after the events of the first Avengers movie, where it rested until Asgard's destruction when Loki nabbed it on the way out. That ultimately turned out to be a very bad decision. Loki paid the price in Avengers Infinity War when Thanos attacked the Asgardian refugee ship to claim the Space Stone from Loki. Despite his attempts to thwart Thanos through treachery, Loki wound up dying at the Mad Titan's hands, and the Space Stone went into Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet. The rest, of course, is history. With the Infinity Gauntlet apparently destroyed at the end of Infinity War, you may think that the stones have lost their power. But given what we know about the Infinity Stones, that seems unlikely. Besides, the remaining Avengers will need a way to bring everyone back after Thanos' snap disappeared half the universe. That's likely to involve Scott Lang's quantum realm adventures and/or Carol's Space Stone-fueled powers, which means the Tesseract itself could still have a role to play in the MCU's future. Be sure to subscribe to GameSpot Universe for more Marvel videos about Avengers Endgame coming soon. Let us know how you think the Tesseract went from Asgard to Earth in the comments below. Thanks for watching.